On February 24th of 2020, a woman in Winter Park, Florida, named Sarah Boone called 911. She told them that her boyfriend, George Torres, is dead. She found him dead in a suitcase. This was due to a game of hide and seek gone wrong. She spoke to detectives on the scene that day and told them that they had a great day together. They did a puzzle, they painted, they sat on the back porch, listened to music, drank wine, and smoked cigarettes. They enjoyed each other's company foremost. On February 25th, 2020, Sarah Boone went in to speak to detectives Chelsea Copsell and Scott Lowen. She sat in the green chair in the corner as instructed and had a few questions of her own that she brought with her. This way they could all connect the dots and figure out what's what and how many together. Detectives told her that George Torres's autopsy came back and he had sustained quite a few injuries. He was bleeding, he had scrapes, he had bumps, he had lumps, he had contusions. These injuries were akin to a beating. Sarah interrupted them and said, "I did not lay a hand on him, I didn't touch him." She explained to them that George is notorious for falling off of her son's bike, running into walls, running into the hall tree, and those things are deadly, as we all know. Yet detectives still seem to be side eyeing her. They asked her if anything happened that day, that any discussions about their relationship or any fights or anything. And she said, "No, I'm telling you, it was a great day. They were in a really good place lately. The last incident had something to do with a curtain rod that I guess they had discussed, the three of them, but I don't know the details. But I do know that Sarah was surprised that they didn't take the curtain rod. Instead, they chose to focus on George Torres's autopsy. But you'll see what these detectives are like. Scoundrel detectives. That's what they are." She continued to insist that this was a great day. They asked her about the drinking, and she told them that she, number one, cannot get drunk. No, number one, does not want to get drunk. Number two, cannot get drunk. She can't get drunk because Sarah needs to keep her presence of mind, you see. Sarah has a lot of things to do. She has a son. She's very busy. And she's not a heavy drinker. They asked how much she drank that night. She said a glass or two. I think she said a handful of glasses. They asked her where they got the wine, and she said she figured George must have gone out and gotten it because he walked in with the bottle. George comes and goes as he pleases, although he would like to spend every waking moment with Sarah. But she doesn't like that. Too much time together. No le gusta. She said he probably, as usual, took her debit card and her vehicle and went to Publix to buy the wine. And after that, he probably went to the store where they get their cigarettes, which she told detectives is cattywampus to Publix. And once he walked in with that bottle of wine, Sarah's day was over as far as for Sarah. Sarah took it upon herself. You see, Sarah knows George better than he knows himself. And so she went about managing his day for him. She took him from activity to activity. When she felt he needed a new atmosphere, she brought him in the house. She brought him back at the house. Whatever she felt he needed, they did. She told him to call his brother. Just a few minutes later, she said, "Hang up." She knows. She knows what he needs. They asked if he drank, and she said, "George, while she is not much of a drinker, in her words, George gets belligerently drunk. George is basically wilding out all the time." Sarah's not about that life, you see. Sarah will ride her bike or read a book. You won't find Sarah running around her townhome complex drunk. No, no, not Sarah. She reiterated that things have been great lately and that nobody got out of sorts. Everything was fine. She does not know where this is coming from. Chelsea Copsell pulled out a laptop and proceeded to show Sarah a video that she had taken herself on her cell phone that the night in question. It was 2 minutes long, but Sarah does not remember it. No, does not remember it or taking it. And it essentially shows Sarah Boone torturing George Torres to death. As soon as they started playing it, Sarah said, I don't want to watch this. As I said, the video is 2 minutes long, and they probably forced her to watch about 10 seconds of it, which is rude. She told them very clearly, guys, this is killing me. I don't want to watch it. But they insisted. Not the whole thing, of course. After she saw the video, she said, I get it, guys. This looks bad. But there were things, she explained that there were other, they were laughing and having a good time. It doesn't look like it there where she's not laughing and neither is he. But she insists that this was a good time for both of them. She told them that she left a hole in the suitcase so he could get out. And when they continued to ask her why he didn't, if he could, she basically, alluded to the fact that George is not that bright and he obviously was too stupid to figure it out. She went upstairs and went to sleep. She claimed that this was unintentional. She did not mean for this to end this way. This was a good day that did not end well. Now it is all backfiring on her because she handed over her phone and begged them to go through it. She had a lot of videos in that phone documenting George and her that she felt showed how abusive George was. She told them that she did everything for George. She helped him. She made him better. She did everything for him. They said, well, maybe you just snapped. You did too much for him. And she said, no. She was really having a hard time getting through to these two. She said she loves his parole officer. The two of them, her and the parole officer, got on the phone and had this 40-minute conversation about how great Sarah is, just like comparing notes about how great Sarah is. Ask anyone, she said. Don't ask anyone. Don't ask his family or his manager at work or some of the neighbors, but anyone, almost anyone will tell you. Ask the property manager. She'll tell you. Scott Lowen said, well, I spoke to some of your neighbors and they said you're drunk all the time. Sarah said, no, that's not true. She said it louder because, again, trying to get through to them. She didn't know what they wanted her to tell them. They kept going on and on, like, why did you do this? What happened? Just like broken records. She gave them a hot tip about one of her neighbors who is here illegally. And they said, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? The man is here illegally. Are you not law enforcement? Get up and go arrest him. Nope. They sat right there with Sarah, continuing to ask her questions about what she did unintentionally. And also, since we're on the subject, her neighbor Kim is not a nice person. She's just automatically not nice. She finally got to ask her questions. She asked them if she's getting her phone back. They said no. She asked them when she can get George's ring back since she paid for it. She bought it. They said it will go to his next of kin. We know what wild animals they are. She's never getting that ring back. Never. Speaking of George's next of kin, Sarah has told everyone, she's been on a loop, telling anyone and everyone who will listen or make eye contact or that she is terrified. She is terrified of George's family because they are going to kill her. She's a dead woman walking because of a game gone awry. She kept asking these detectives what they're going to tell her, his family. They're, are they going to tell them that she did? They said, well, we have to be honest. She's like, this is going to add fuel to the fire. She was terrified for her life. Yet her next question was how she can find out about George's funeral arrangements. And my takeaway from that is that Sarah was so devoted to George that she was willing to risk her life to attend his funeral. Sarah also told them that she loves George to this day. Not this day, that day. That day, where he had already been dead for probably over 24 hours. That's love. That's devotion. I mean, wow. Again, they still seemed unfazed by most of this. She told them that even though we know she doesn't drink that much. Although I have to say, she did seem intoxicated in that video, and she was cursing a lot. And Sarah does not like cuss words, so that's strange. She swore to them that she is never going to drink alcohol in any way, shape, or form again. They seemed unfazed by this. At one point, she told Detective Lowen that she has been punished enough. This is punishment enough for her to have to live without him. She had to find his body and perform CPR. It's punishment enough. Both he and Chelsea seem to think that they'll decide what's punishment enough. They don't even know her. It's not fair. And you wouldn't believe it. A whole bunch of strangers ended up deciding if she's been punished enough. The judge, the jury, the system is broken. They did not let her go home to see her son. That's her son. And they know that she's not had a lot of quality time with her son over the last several years because she's been very busy. Sarah has been very busy getting out of sorts and trying to make George a better person. They arrested her. The deputy came in and took her cigarettes out of her bag because you cannot have those in the jail. And she told her, I just bought those. She said, well, you can't have them in the jail. And she took them. I couldn't, I mean, that's nerve. That's first constitutional right taken, in my opinion. That's number one in a long list to follow. Brand new pack of cigarettes, just took them. She explained to them that she wants to be put in the big bay because the last time she was arrested, they put her in a single cell. And here's the thing, Sarah is claustrophobic, you see. Sarah does not like small, confined spaces. so she must be put in the big bay. They explained to her, don't act crazy, and they'll put you in the big bay. And she said, why would I act crazy? Sarah once again was not put in the big bay. As Sarah was about to be arrested, right before she got arrested, she looked into Chelsea Copsel's eyes and she told her that she swears on her son's life that this was not intentional. She swore on her child's life to make her point. If that doesn't tell us the character and integrity of this woman, then nothing will. Know that. Know that.